Hello guys, Wahoo here, back with another video. This time around with an idea for some content for Trove. We've been talking about this on stream and we've also been talking on the podcast. If you want to see what we talked about more in podcast about the idea, you can go to the description. I will link the recent podcast where we talked about the endless shadow tower or greater risks for for Trove, basically. And you can see me doing some shadow towers here, but the point being that the whole idea is to make an endless one, greater rift, in a way. So first of all, there would be no rewards besides getting, getting a different colored name, maybe like there is for speedrunning now. But the whole idea was to just encourage group play. So you would see how far you could go on these, these floors with, not as fast as you can, but as a group, basically. So that is the whole idea about this greater rift, is that you'd bring 8 people, and it's going to be accessible from like every, whoever is, from level 1 to max level. There's no requirement to you joining this, but of course the more power rank, the more higher level, whatever, the better stats you have, of course the higher you're gonna go. But that's kind of also the incentive to kind of push yourself to going higher or further into the endless shadow towers, the maze, shadow labyrinth, maze, whatever you're gonna call it, and this endless floors where you can kind of each week see who can go the furthest and get a different colored name. So right now speedrunning is just pushing your buttons as fast as you can, where this is more enticing to bring a healer instead of just relying on your potions, because potion wouldn't refill all the time. Maybe it refills every like 15 levels or something like that, or maybe potions are even like disabled maybe in this even, could be a thing, it could be more challenging, or if you further you go, the more challenging it will be in different ways. The specific floors or what it is not really like kind of how the whole thing is around it, but it's more, people bringing in other classes, so healing actually becomes something and tanking actually becomes something, instead of you just like I'm doing right here. This is only hard shadow towers, but still I'm doing this alone and I wouldn't really bring anybody else. I do bring people in here on on stream and stuff like that, but it's mostly just because we're hanging out, having a good time and whatnot. But if there wasn't like this endless shadow towers, because it would more make it so you would make group play, it would be harder for you to go further if you didn't bring a healer. If you'd gone by yourself, you could go by yourself in this in this endless shadow tower, greater rift, whatever you're gonna call it. But the point being that you could go further, of course, if you bring some people, right? Because just not only because of DPS, but also if you bring like a tank or you bring like a healer or something like that, would just make it absolutely much easier for you and go further. And then in the end of the week, you can see like the shadow tower speed run. You can get a purple name if you're the fastest, but there's no time limit on how far you can go or how long it's going to take, as long as you can heal it, right? As long as you want to bring. And you might say, well, shouldn't there be some kind of enrage timer or something like that? Well, that could be definitely surely a thing as well, maybe, if you want to bring even more from like raiding kind of. But it's not really raiding in sense, because you're just going through not the same floors over and over again, but what we have already maybe, but just being harder and harder and more damage. And also with that, you can bring in more mechanics and more bosses or whatever you want to do, basically, besides of what I'm doing right here. So that is kind of the idea that I'm ranting on right here. Again, if you wanted to know more about like the discussion I had with Zero on the podcast, make sure you go to the description and of course check that one out. And if you did like it, if you have any other ideas, maybe comment below on what you think that it should be for these endless shadow towers and whatnot. Make sure you like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.